What's up? What's up, everybody? This is Baylor, and welcome back to the channel. If you've not been here before, then welcome to the channel. I don't know if that makes enough sense for a YouTube video, but that's basically how I feel right now. And so, as you can tell, I'm a little bit wired, and this isn't affect. This isn't my normal. Okay, whatever. It doesn't really matter who I am or what I'm like. But this is the video where we're going to create a build a box type thing with Vue for a potential Shopify store. And so that's where I'm at right now. As you can see, I've got my web browser open, and I'm looking at the Vue CLI because I haven't done this in a long time, and so I needed to look at the docs. So we're going to say Vue create, and we're going to call this build a box. And now we wait because we got to answer some questions. We'll just do the default. I don't actually know what that means. We're going to do the default. And so we'll wait for this. It says this may take a while, which is unfortunate for you because this is not probably what you want to do on your everyday that you do things. But it is basically creating a Vue project that's going to allow us to write some code and have it in an environment where when we save our file, it reloads the web browser in the background, and so we can just work and not have to do anything funny. I'm not probably going to put this into a Shopify theme because that isn't necessarily what's important here. What we'll do is just build out the basic components that we might use in a Shopify theme, and if y'all are interested, we can do that because I don't know. For right now, all I wanted to do is just come up with an idea on what would it look like to work with the product that you get as JSON and convert that over to Vue components that allow you to say, you know what, I want to add these 3 or 4 products and I want to put them into a cart. And we're going to do the first half of that, at least in this video. So we can cd into build a box. We're on branch master and we have a source directory. And so I've already created my clipboard. I created my clipboard. I copied this from my actual Shopify development store. And what I'm actually doing is called building a balloon bouquet. It's not a box, but a bouquet of balloons that you might choose. And so that's why you'll see things like it's a girl or it's a boy, because those are the types of balloons that we sell, or the place I'm doing this for, they sell balloons for occasions like that. Okay, so I have this JSON. This is straight from our Shopify store. So when we work with this, it'll actually be what you would expect to see. And so we can use it like such. So I'm going to put this into product.json. And I'm going to put that in the source directory. And what I do when I'm writing code lately is I like to start a tmux session. This is going to sound really stupid what I'm going to show you, but it's what I do. I start a tmux session where I'll say things like yarn start, serve, okay, yarn serve. And now that we have this running here, what I do is I detach from that tmux session, and then I use Vim in this basic form. No tmux. Tmux is only there. It's a multiplex or something. It's a thing that lets you run multiple sessions. I prefer to not do that. So yeah, my environment is a little bit different. So what? Oh, maybe it's 8080. Okay. So yeah, I have. And then I like to alias TA to tmux attach. So I can jump back and forth between my tmux session by typing in TA and do something here. But that's the way this is going to work. I'm basically just backgrounding my yarn server for Vue so that I can write my code here. And because of that, I'm going to cd into source. And we have this Vue app, and we are going to write code in here. Okay. So that's in app.vue, and we can kind of see, if you've never seen this way, If you've never seen this before, what it is we define our HTML template at the top, and then we use a script tag to define the actual JavaScript for this Vue component. And we can even do things like modules, import and export, and so we see those here. And then we actually have some style tags. So this gives you a glimpse into everything that Vue does. Excuse me. So what we're going to do is create a new component. So we're going to call this, I'm going to put this in components. I'm going to isolate my components like this so that they are easier for me to, I'm isolating them physically on disk. I'm doing that so that I can, for my own mind, know like what did I write in isolation. I don't know. I feel like I'm going crazy here trying to pull all my thoughts together while talking about them with an explanation of what I'm doing. So we're creating a directory called components here, and I'm going to call my first component box builder.vue. And yeah, I have a tendency to name things with the dashes. I can't remember what that's called. It's not snake case, it's something else. But so my JavaScript names might not match yours, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But we're going to create a template here, and we'll put a div inside of it. And I'm going to say, this is my box builder. And we'll put a script tag in, and we're going to say export default. And I think that's all we have to do. Maybe we'll add a name to it, although I don't know if that's necessary. And what I'm going to do is say that I want to import box builder from components. Oh, you know what? The components directory already exists. I didn't create a directory. I'm using an existing directory. And we're going to import boxbuilder.vue. We're going to register this box builder. So what Vue does is it's very... If you come from React and you've seen that, then what you would do ordinarily is you would say, here's my box builder, and I'm going to use it like so. I'm just going to drop it in there. This changes when you come to Vue, because Vue is treating components, I can't remember what they're called in HTML5, but HTML5 lets you define basically like components. Basically what's happening here is we have to tell Vue what components are going to be inside of this. Otherwise, Vue thinks they're strictly just HTML tags. So it's a little bit different than how React works, where React goes off of the name being, I think, a big letter first, like big B here. So if we look, we can actually see that this page has refreshed in the background, and we see this is my box builder. And to get this into a better, cleaner, more happy state, I'm going to take away some of the scaffolded code, and now we see strictly, this is my box builder. Okay, and so what I'm going to do to get started here is I'm going to pass in my variant data. And I say that, and now I'm thinking, like, how am I actually going to put that there? I know that our data lives at import product from product.json. And I think what I can do, we're going to call this Shopify product. And I'm going to create a data like this. And I'm going to say product is equal to Shopify product. And now I should be able to look at that. Nope. Token I in JSON, it's a baby boy. So when I copied this, I did not copy it very well. Oh. Okay, so when I copied that, okay. This is the code. Now you get to see the page. Great. Good job, Baylor. Let me put that in there. Okay. There we go. And let's remove that text align center. Okay, that's better. Okay, so you can kind of see this. What we've done, if this doesn't make sense, is, let me make this bigger, is we are importing that JSON, and then we are adding that JSON data to our app component. And the way this works inside of Vue, this is a function. This is to ensure the data is not statically referenced when loading the component, I think is the best way to say that. So we're making it a function because then Vue is guaranteed to invoke that function and get that returned output, rather than having us sit there and give it a hard-coded actual JavaScript object. I think that's why, but that's what this whole syntax is, this arrow function. And I'm going to change this to be product and then do it like that. And we don't see anything change here. We're just using something to do with JavaScript in the recent years that if an object has the same name, it makes the key value pair automatically. So that's what this is doing. We're just building a key value pair that looks like this. Okay, you've probably seen all this before and you're like, why are you explaining all this? But I can't help it because I just feel obligated to share as much as I can so you don't feel like you don't know what's going on, even though I'm probably making it more confusing than anything. But where we stand right now is we have this product, and this is the data that comes from Shopify. And the thing that we're interested in the most is this variance array that lists out the actual things that we can purchase in Shopify, and this options list. And the options tell us like what is, because you can have up to 3 options in Shopify. And so we may not use that, but like you could have like one that says like what kind of balloon do you want? So it would give you one of these options. And then you could have another that has like, what kind of card do you want to go with it? Like, do you want a blue card or a red card or something like that? And that would be another option. And then you would be able to use that in Shopify to create 2 separate ordering combinations, like a matrix. We are not doing that here because, well, first of all, we only have one option, but I guess that's why we're not doing that. But what I'm trying to think through as I'm looking at this and trying to solve this problem is like, am I going to try to support multiple options? And I think out of the gate, no. I can't remember who it is, if it's Sandy Metz or Katrina Owen, that says, don't write code for the future, write code for the present, so that you don't create a code base that has basically dead code in the future, because your path changes even though you predict it going this way. Okay. We're going to get through this. One of these days, we're actually write some code. So let's actually do that now. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just pass probably the variance into this. And so we're going to register with this component what properties we take. And I'm going to say we take in an array of variance. And to pass that in, we are just going to come up to this box builder and say variance equals product.variance. And I'll leave that here so we can actually view this data structure. What this colon does, if you don't know Vue, is if I do it like this, box builder is going to actually be the string variant product.variance. But when I add the colon, this actually turns into it's actually going to evaluate that product.variance, and it's going to return this actual array that we have here. So we're going to have access to these variants inside of this box builder. And I think what we want to start with is, actually I probably made a mistake. I'm going to rename this to boxbuilder/index.vue. I'm going to have to make a directory for that. And this is going to change. It should just be like this. Okay. The reason I'm moving BoxBuilder to a directory is so that I can create like the components that build this mass. Oops, sorry. I'm going to make subcomponents, and I want them all contained in that directory BoxBuilder. And so what this is going to allow us to do is create components BoxBuilder, and we're going to have one that is a variant .vue. So we'll create a template for this, and we'll add our script, and we're going to say export default and close our script tag, and we'll have a name for this called variant. And what we're going to do is actually take in some props here, and this one's going to be very simply just our variant. We could actually just require what builds this, such as like ID, and then have like the title, and maybe that's it. Maybe the image. I kind of like the idea of doing it like this, image source. So what we're going to look for here is maybe we do something like a list item, and we're just kind of making this up as we go along, but we're going to pass in and say like we're going to have an image. The source is going to be the image source, and the alt text is going to be the title, and we'll just start with this just to get us something out of the gate. And then over here in our box builder, we're going to import that variant from variant.vue. And we will register that component. I think this has to be an object. And we're going to pass in variant. And what we're going to do is just say that we're going to have a variant. And this is going to be 4, or maybe we'll do v4. And it's going to be variant in variants. And we're going to set a key equal to the variant ID. And then we're going to pass the attributes that we care about. So we have ID is variant.id, title is variant.title, and image source is variant.featuredImage.source. Oh, you know what? I don't actually see. So here's something that's interesting. This JSON object does not match what happens if you create the JSON object inside of Shopify. Because when I was testing this earlier today, on my variant, I actually had a featured image.source. I don't think it was source, but it was something that I could reference and get this back from. And I no longer have that. And as a result, I cannot use this. So let's back that out for now and actually just use the title. So let's see. Oh, and let's also wrap this in an ordered list. And find out what the problem is. Because for some reason, we're not getting anything. So we have v4 variant in variants. We're passing in the ID and the title. We import this. We pass this along. Let's do something like variants.length. So we're not getting that either. Do I have an error in here? No. I wish I knew what the problem was, but I don't. Let's try switching this out like so. So the variant component is registered but not used. Okay, that's fine. We'll take it away. But we're still not getting what we want to see. So it seems like the problem is we're not passing our variants in. Oh, it's product. You know what we want to do? We want to make this product.product. There we go. Okay. For what I did there is I didn't realize this is namespace, the product. And it looks like it's the only thing on here, but I was missing that. So what we can possibly do is this. Can we do that? Okay. So it's kind of unfortunate, but we're trying to just get the product out of that JSON object, and now that allows us to say product.variants, and then we can see things like this. Okay, so yes. So here are our items. These list items are actually coming from this box builder variant, and what we want to do is I think I'm going to use Vuex. And so we will just look at how to install this. We just need that. So okay, so we're going to add Vuex, and this is going to add a way to manage the state between these components in such a way that we don't have to pass callbacks in between them. And I think that'll just make this a lot easier for us. And so we are now ready to say npm serve. And we're going to hop into our main.js. And we're going to import Vuex from Vuex. And we're going to pass in, I think I'm doing this right, our state, or maybe our store from store. And store is going to be a new vuex.store. And the state of this will be like selected variants, and that'll be an empty array. And so what we should be able to do is do something like computed, and we'll say selected variants, and this is going to return this dot store dot state dot selected variants dot length. And now we can say something like you have selected selected variants count variants, like this. And I did not run that correctly. So the server is starting, it's loading, we have an error, no comma. Okay, so nothing. You must call vue.use. Oh, we can do that. Vue.use Vuex. Okay. Okay, we are getting like really, really close. So what we've done now is we're registering Vuex with Vue, and we're creating our initial store. And this store has an empty-ish state that defines that we're going to have selected variants, and it starts out as an empty array. Okay? And what we want to do is we want to make it that, like, whenever I click on one of these, that it adds it to that store. And so what we'll do is we're going to say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change this to be variant equal to variant. And change this to be variant. Okay. Same kind of thing here, But the reason why I'm going to change it to where I pass the entire object rather than just a few of the attributes is because I want to do this. I want to be able to say that I have a method that we're going to call this add variant. And we're going to say this dot store dot commit add variant, and it's going to be this dot variant. And we're going to say that when we click on this component or this list item, that we want to call add variant. And so this click is going to reference this method. And this method is going to go to our store object, which is this, and it's going to call the add variant event handler. And so what we're going to do here, I don't remember what it's called. Let me just scroll down and find an example. Get started. It's going to call this mutation. So we're going to create a mutations object. And it is going to have an add variant. And it's going to pass in a variant. And we're going to say, actually it's going to pass in a state and variant. We're going to say state.selectedVariants.push variant. So what's happening here is that when this mutation gets called, so when we call store.commit add variant, it's going to call this object. It's going to pass in an instance of our state, and it's going to pass in whatever attributes or properties or parameters that we pass in with it. So we called with this.variant, so that's going to be a variant, and we're going to push that variant into our selected variants. And so when I click on these now, you can see that it is now adding those to the stack, and we can see it actually outputting how many of these that we've selected. Okay, so this is working, and I'm going to style this as well. I'm going to add a class to this called something like a variant. I don't know. It's not the most descriptive. And I'm going to give this variant a cursor, a pointer, and I'm going to say that variant.hover is going to have a background color of like a light gray. So now when I hover over these, I feel like I have something that I can click on and select. And what's really amazing here is that Vue is maintaining that state across reloads while adding classes and CSS. I mean, it really kind of blew my mind there for a second. But as you can see, this is kind of turning into something we can interact with. So what we want to do now is actually show what we've selected here. And so what I'm going to do, what I'm really thinking about doing is, what if, like, here's what I'm thinking, okay? When we call this variant, we have this whole object, which means that we know this variant ID. What I kind of saw when I scrolled through this a second ago is that these images have that reference to what is this variant, like what variants use this image. And this one, they're all singular. The same, each variant has its own image, and so each of these are unique. So what I'm thinking about doing here is actually changing this up a little bit and creating a component box builder image, or let's call it a variant image.view. Okay, so this will be a template. It is going to be really simple. It is simply going to be an image tag, I guess. And the source will be our image source. And does this have like an alt? Does it have anything? It only has the source. We're going to go with that for right now. And our script tag for this is going to look like export default we're going to have our props, or I guess our name will be variant image. And the props for this is just going to be ID, and computed is going to have that image source. Okay, so we're getting closer, but for right now, I'm going to make him all this hard-coded value. Okay. And I'm going to change this up to actually include that variant image with the ID being variant.id. And we're going to register that. So import variant image from variant image value. And we'll register that component. Okay. So we have unknown custom element variant image. Did you register it correctly? Make sure to provide the name option. I think that's maybe an old error. Okay, so now what we're seeing here is that we have this huge image, and it is it's just displaying. It's just putting them in there. Okay, so we can actually go in to this, and I actually don't know where to put the CSS for this. If I add a class to here of like variant image, does it apply that class to this DOM node? And the answer is yes. You can see down here this image actually received that. Just so that if anybody that's a React guy, or just that sound like anybody that does React, this is like a big deal that we can add a class here and it actually pushes it to the DOM node below. Maybe you can see that as bad practice. Like I can see it both ways, but I don't know. It's nice that from this perspective, I can say, look, I have this component that I'm going to use, and I don't know what classes it's going to necessarily have because I don't know if does it merge. It merges that. Okay, so I can add classes from my component level, and they merge in with the subcomponents. I think that's just really cool. It's brilliant. So what we're going to do here is just say that we want to have a width of like 45 pixels. So now these images are not just enormous. They're a manageable size. We might actually make that 90. Okay. I'm going to stop at like, I can't hit the keys correctly, but that's like, this is the perfect size. Okay, so the next step is that I want to actually be able to use this ID that I'm passing in here. Yes? Because we are trying to load this image from some known source of available images. And this is probably going to be like bad practice. But what I'm going to do is what? I manage my state here. Like, what I'm thinking is in my app component where I load this product, I want to find a view lifecycle hook that lets me say when I load like one of these, like created, mounted. I don't necessarily need to care when I'm mounted. Maybe I'm created. After the instance created the stage, the instance is processing all the options, which means as data observation, computed properties, method, blah, blah, blah. DOM element property not be available yet. That's okay. So what I want to do is figure out how to use this. What I'm guessing is I'm just going to have, I don't know where this goes. Guide and life cycle. We're looking for life cycle cycle. Components in depth. Component registration. Custom events. Let's try this. Created event. I don't know where these go is the problem. Component basics, custom events, created. I think this is what we just saw. Does this tell me where this goes? Nope. Options, lifecycle hooks. I understand what this looks like. I just don't know where it goes. Oh, maybe it just goes at the root. Maybe we just say created. And wait, can we do arrow functions here? You should not use arrow functions. Okay. And what we're going to do is just say console.log this.product. .images, because we actually care about the images. And okay, so that was a lot of me circling the drain because I feel like that was a point of this video where it's like, you know what, does he even know what he's doing at this point? What we're doing here is we're using this created function. It allows us to say this component has been created, but it's before the DOM is like really ready. And we're using that to our advantage here because this may be like really bad practice, but I think this whole video is me having to preface what I'm doing is not necessarily a perfect solution. But what I'm going to do is just say load images, and that's going to be our state. It's going to be our images array, and we're going to have our images like this. And we're going to say state.images equals images. So we're going to overwrite that. And when this happens, like when we create this component, we're going to say this.store.commit, and we're going to say load images, like so. And we don't actually see anything happen here, but in our variant image component, now we're ready to start grabbing this. And so what we're going to do is say, like, I'm going to also just create one. Well, it doesn't really matter. We're going to do it right here. We're going to say our const image is equal to this.store.state.images.find. And we're going to have an image here. And we're going to say that this image dot variance. We need to look at this object again. So we have variant IDs. Variant IDs dot index of our this.id. Oh. And I think we can actually just do that. Like, let's just see what happens if we say image dot source here. Close. Okay, we're going to say is greater than -1. Boom. Okay, so what happened there, if you don't know, is this. We have an array of objects, which we are going to reference as strings like A, B, and C, okay? And we say index of, and this index of, where like we have this variance ID, or variant IDs, which are these arrays of IDs, right? We're saying what's the index of that ID. And so like if I pass in string D here, you can see index of returns -1. That is to say this is not in this array. But if I use something like B, then I get 1. Because it's 0 index, if I do A, I get 0. So it's 0, 1, 2. C is 2 if we do that one. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying go through all the available images and find the image that has the index of this ID greater than -1. So it's the first one that's found here. And because it'll like, yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And so that's what happens. We have it's a baby boy, and we can kind of see that's probably like the worst thing I could do in this video, but I was trying to zoom in on that, and I apologize if it broke it. So here we go. We're starting to have this thing come together. What we might do is say that we'll put this in a div so that this goes below it. And we'll say that variant has like a width of 100 pixels. Yeah, text align center. List style none. Okay, so it's starting to kind of look nice. We'll say padding is 1 rem, my first rem, okay, and we'll set a border of 1 pixel dotted, and we'll make it the same as the actual color here. Oh, that doesn't work. Let's do like something a little bit more visible. Okay, and we're going to say dashed, and we're going to bump this up to something a little bit bigger. Okay, and we're getting close. Okay, that's looking better. And what I want to do is say display inline block. That doesn't work. Float left. I feel like floats are discouraged, but I'm going to do it anyways. And we're going to call this variance list. Yep. Ooh. Something changed drastically when I did that. This is really looking bad. The more I do to it, it just gets worse. But okay, it's starting to look like something. You can kind of see how this is so bad. I'm just trying to make a fake, like a mock grid system. We can live with it for now, but it certainly isn't like the most beautiful thing you ever saw. And I have like this huge that's probably this. Oh yeah. Okay. So we're starting to build this UI. How wide is this? Okay, can I say like this is 50%? I will do that. Okay, so we have this grid-ish system. It's allowing us to do this. So what I'm going to do now is make this a more of a real application in the sense that we are going to have a div of selected variants. And this is going to have like, for now we'll do this just so we can see this working. Okay. Oh my goodness, I haven't done CSS in so long. You can actually feel it. I'm sure someone that knows what I'm trying to do is just like cringing right now. But we're getting close. Container. Oh, what a great class name. Container. And we're going to say overflow hidden. Okay. And for this, we're going to bump this up to 500 pixels as well. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to put a new title down here. Pick the your balloons. Why did it look like that? Why do they have such different positions? Oh, selected variants doesn't have the overflow hidden thing. But I don't want it to have the overflow hidden. Oh. Okay, that's better. Weird. I don't know what I'm doing. Clearly I don't know what I'm doing, but I don't understand why. Is it because these don't have a list? Oh, I put an H4 inside of an unordered list. What? Baylor Ray? Okay, this video is... Whoo, okay. Da, 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 da. Okay. Check it out. This is starting to look great. What we're doing here is building a user interface that lets you see how things are turning out so beautifully. My idea here, what I was trying to tinker with, is that on the right, we can kind of pick your balloons and we can see our selection over here. And so we can see how, as we go along with this, we see how many we've selected, and then we'll highlight what we've selected over here. And so what I'm going to do now is come and get rid of some of this, and we're going to create a new component in our box builder to show like a selected variant .view. And I kind of think this should just be selected plural, where we just do like selected variants, like so. And we're going to have our template here. And it's just going to be an ordered list right now that says hi. And our script is going to say that we have export default. The name of this is our selected variants. Okay. And then we're going to import that over here. Okay, and we're going to drop it down over here, selected variants. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so this is now rendering. And what we want to do for this is actually just pull out like computed. And we're going to say our variants are this.store.state.selected variants, like so. And we're going to change this around to be v4 variant in selected variants. And we're going to say that the key is the variant.id, and that we want to actually not be like that, but like this, and say that we have variant.title. Okay. Variants, computer property. Oh, we need wait, what? Computed. Expected a return value in variants. Computed property. Did I not say return? Ruby is kicking in here. So that got us nowhere. I feel like I've done this before. What did I do last time where this didn't work? Man. Property or method such as not defined on the instance. During render, make sure the property is reactive, either in the data option or for the class-based components. If this.store.state.selected variants return empty array. The property method select variants is not. Oh, I'm sorry. That's this. Okay, boom. And we can see this starting to come together. Okay. We're starting to build this out, but what I want to do here is I want to do a counter so we can actually see, like, every time we click on this, it shows like a counter, like happy birthday doesn't listed out so many times by itself. And so to do that, what I think we're going to do is say, do we have a group by in JavaScript? We have a reduce. We can do it with a reduce. This is going to really show how fast I can think in JavaScript functionally. But we're going to have a reduce, and it's going to take a variant. Oh, let me look. Is reduce, which is the memoized object? Is it memoized? It's not memoized, is it? It's the accumulator. Okay, ignore that. So we're going to take in our object and our variant. And it's going to start with empty object. And what we're going to do is say what? We're going to return, okay, and we're going to have, I guess, all we care about is the ID, which is variant ID. We're going to have the, oh wait, this is an array. So we're going to switch this up to an array first. And we're going to have our variants. And we're going to say, let our found variant equal variants.filter or find. And we're going to have our v here, bv.id equals variant.id. And if we have a found variant, then found variant dot quantity plus equals 1. Else, can I do this? I feel like I can do this better in a second, but right now I just want to see if this even works. We're going to say variants.push a new object that has the ID of variant.id. Is going to have the title of variant.title, and it is going to have a quantity of 1. And so far, we have a bunch of problems. Can't actually probably find variants undefined. I think this needs to return an array. I think that's the problem that I have right now. So what we'll do is instead is say found variant equals this object, and then we'll return variants plus found variant. This is where I think we're going to have an issue. I expect it to, yeah, so it's breaking. Cubic keys detected. So that didn't work because what I'm doing here, if I can actually show you this, if I put in my variant.quantity, like so, you can see that it's partially working, but we're not replacing. So what I want to do instead, how do I do this? How do I recreate this on the fly? Because I don't want to sit there and say, like, reject, right? Like, I don't want to put this in. Like, I can show you the easy way to do it that I think is probably wrong, where I say filter where it is not this one. Like, this removes duplication, and it also is reshuffling it around whenever I do this. Like, that is a solution, but it feels like the wrong solution. So we need to rethink this. How do we accumulate and count based on one of these variants existing? Like, part of me thinks that we should do this. Like, let's just comment this out so we can kind of see what we did on our first try. Part of me thinks I need to say return variants.map. No, that doesn't work. I feel like what I need to do is have like a way to yank like Indian array delete by predicate. Find splice, find index sum every. It's like find is what I'm thinking of, but I want to delete or remove. It just doesn't exist. Okay. For now, I'm going to leave this. And what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to actually sort these, which I don't know what the sort is. Is it sort or sort by? Sort. Okay. So we're going to sort this. We have A and B. And we're going to say A dot title is greater than or equal to B dot title. And that's is that 1 and then -1? Yeah, it looks like it. So what's like happy birthday? Let me refresh. Let's do this. We're going to go alphabetically backwards. So we're going to have H and then G. And then this one, I guess that makes sense. And then I comes down here. And then It's a Girl goes at the bottom. And we do this some more. Okay, so now we're alphabetically sorting that, which kind of makes sense, right? That kind of feels right. And we can see how many of these we've selected. The other thing that we want to do is format and show a price. This is really getting like really busy here. We got a whole lot going on. I have no idea how long this video is. But what I would like to do is now make it where if I click on one of these, it takes one away, which is really going to be tricky. What I'd kind of like to do is say, does reduce give me an index, like as it's iterating over the current index? Okay, this is going to be, okay, here's what I'm thinking we do. We're going to pass in I, and we're going to say found variant. It really doesn't matter which one it is. We'll just pass it in the first one, and we'll have index is I, okay? And we're going to say that when we click on this, we want to remove at index variant.I, okay? And, or index. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have this method called remove at index. And we're going to log that index just to see if this is working like I think it is. So when we click on these, we can see we're removing or getting the index of the very first one that we found, okay? So what I'm going to do now is hop back over to main.js, which I had open over here. And we're going to add a new mutation to remove at index. It's going to take our state and our variant index. And what we're going to do is just say state.selectedVariants.splice. And we're going to grab that variant index and say 1. And I'll show you what this does in a second. But now we should be able to say this dot state or store dot commit remove at index, and we're going to pass in that index. And so now if we click on a couple of these and we get a bunch of It's a Baby Boy, and we start clicking on them, you can see it takes them away. And it feels like it just, for a UI that quite frankly is kind of interesting in how it's aggregating, it's kind of cool to see it just pull those away like that, right? I mean, that's kind of neat. But what it's doing here, this dot splice, it's really unfortunate to see this here, but let's do this. We're going to create an array, and we're going to call it like Bob, Leo, Faye, and Siggy. Anna, I think. We'll just get the whole family in here. Okay, so we have this array. And what we're going to do is say we want to remove Leo from the picture. And so we know that Leo is at index 1. Okay? So what we do is we say array splice, and we say we want to remove at index 1. And the second argument is how many. So like if I said 2 here, it would do 1, 2. and it'll remove Leo and Faye. But if I say 1, it's only going to remove 1 here. And so when we do this, it returns back an array of what we got. But if we look at that array, we can see Leo is gone. Okay, we'll do this again. We're going to get rid of Faye and Siggy here. So we'll say array.splice 1 and 2. And if we look at that, you can see now we have just this one. And we can do another one and say 0, 1, and we get rid of Bob. And we do it again, we get rid of Anna, and now our array is empty. Okay? So what we've done here is we are grabbing the index of the very first variant that we found. Because our variants are found by the ID, that means that we're basically just accumulating that quantity, right? We're just incrementing that counter. And so we only care about the first one. It doesn't matter. Like we could come up here and say found variant dot index equals I again. This is not going to change the way this thing works because we're removing either the first one or the last one, and it really doesn't matter because they're duplicate objects. Well, now I think about it, it's kind of a bad data structure, but it's actually a really bad data structure because the whole purpose of this is to place an order with Shopify. And Shopify later on is actually going to want something that looks like this. So, you know, for right now, I don't just love how this looks, but I'm happy with the way that it performs and how it acts. And so what I'm going to do for right now is let it slide and let this be the way we close this video, that we've created an application that allows us to load Shopify variants. We can go through here and click on them, and we actually add them to our temporary cart that lets us see the bundle or the bouquet of balloons that we're building. We can say, you know what, I clicked on get well soon without a teddy. I'm going to take that one off so I only have this one, and let's get rid of some of these others. And we can modify that with this clean user interface here. And so I think the next part of this video, if it is requested and if I actually have time, would be to actually turn this into the plugin inside of a Shopify page so that we can actually take this data structure and push it into a Shopify cart, which is actually really easy. But I just haven't actually done it personally with Vue and all that. So I don't actually know what it looks like entirely, partly because of the fact that this data structure needs to change. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. And I'll take a screenshot. Perfect.